Okay, so my greatest fear is existing in a society where people, mostly women, do not understand their rights well enough to know when they are being abused or taken advantage of. It scares me that people are still shamed and stigmatized for speaking up against abuse as a result of culture, religion, occupation, background, education, lifestyle, age, sex, etc.
Helen from Port Harcourt. For me, it's sexual harassment at work. Men refusing to understand space and respect for women at their workplaces. It's degrading and affects your confidence at work.
Onye from Port Harcourt. I always get scared when I'm in places with bad lighting or the power is out with guys present. I was once in a public place when the power went out and I got groped by about 4 guys. Since then, being out at night or when it's getting dark gets me scared. It's very uncomfortable being at a close range with a guy for me because I've been harassed 4 times. It gave me a lot of trauma, which I'm still recovering from, and I just can't bring myself to fully trust a man.
Quinn from Lagos. My greatest fear is women living an unfulfilled life just to conform to certain standards society sets concerning marriage and motherhood. I wouldn't like any woman to feel pressured, taking care of the home front, just to keep the home going. They should also have time to refresh and unwind without the mom guilt.
Belle from Port Harcourt. My greatest fear is waking up to see that I have taken care of everyone else but myself. In a world where the woman is the breadwinner, caregiver, nurse, teacher, pharmacist, porn star, etc. The success of your home is completely rested on your shoulders, and failure to bear the weight will fetch you a terrible stigma you cannot scrub off yourself. He beat you, it's your fault. You share your opinions, you are not submissive enough. This is so frustrating.
Riri from Lagos. Being a woman in a male-dominated engineering field has exposed me to working with so many men. Most of the time, when a man picks interest in my work, I fear that their interest is in me as a sexual being and an object for pleasure, rather than the smart and extremely brilliant person that I am.
CC from Lagos. I had a rude awakening when I finished NYSC and went job hunting. I remember walking into a law firm and the secretary looked me in the eye and said, "You are a female lawyer. We can't employ you." Being a woman, I already have to deal with anxiety, walking alone at night, walking in the midst of a group of guys for fear of being either groped or objectified, among other anxieties. But that certainly was an experience that I would never forget.
Aramide from City of Lagos. Before leaving my house, I always say a little prayer. Lord, don't let anyone try to touch me inappropriately today. I say this because if someone decides to tap currents, a series of unfortunate events will occur. 1, I may decide to throw hands. 2, I cannot fight, so they'll go beat me tire. 3, I'll end up in the hospital or police station.
Boma from Lagos. It may sound unreasonable, but my hidden fear is getting married and having children. I strongly feel like it is going to take me 10 steps backwards because it requires time and sacrifice. My life outside thinking about having a family feels calmer to me. My career is very important to me and I don't want to put it on hold for anyone. But does society help? Will they stop calling to ask, when are you getting married? Will they stop disrespecting single women? Will I succumb to society and eventually do what I do not particularly care about? These are the things I think about every day.
So for me, I'll say is how much our society supports the patriarchy, and how we even accept it. Because if you look at it, it may not be our own society's fault. Because even in the Bible, right from the beginning, when God punished Adam and Eve, He says, "Look, man, you shall toil and you for food." And He says, "Woman, you will suffer a childbirth." So it seems like the job roles had already been cut out for us. But so when you bring women now into the workplace or outside those roles that history has already provided for us, there's going to be definitely some kind of conflict. There's going to be some. So if you bring a woman in a corporate environment, she's not a mother, she's not giving childbirth, or she's not taking care of the home. First of all, the men there will have to put up a security or defense mechanism. Oh, this is a woman here. We can't have our usual gist again, and we can't make those jokes that a woman will otherwise. It's normal men joke, and it's supposed to be harmless, but with a woman there, it then makes it sound like an insult. It makes it sound like, so there's really a lot to say amongst these stories, and how women want to have their own men to recognize them and accord them their own respect and all of that. But it's just so much. There's just so much to say. But I think time and I don't even know what to say. There's so much to say. I don't know what to say. But if anybody can.
Yeah, so I think amongst the stories we've read, is the baggage the society throws at women. What a typical woman faces, when she goes out, wake up in the morning, and even passing through life. Biological clock is ticking. For example, a story we read, if you give your opinion to your husband, you're not submissive and all that. Women has to go through so many things because of the way the African society typically, had made it to be. So the harassment, sexual harassment, workplace and all that. So I think that's what these stories are talking about.
I think what struck me was, apart from the things they have to deal with, the amount of time, it's from when you are born basically to when you die. It's something you have to live with every day, inside the house, if you want to step out, the adjustments you have to make in the workplace, from how you dress, your tone of voice, all those things. I think that's a very heavy burden to just have constantly, and for example, there was a lot there about groping. I'm just wondering if there might be an age a woman gets to, where she might say, oh, thank God, finally, I'm too old now to be desirable. But then, is there really an age? Because we still hear about like old women getting raped, and all that. So it's just very hard for me to imagine having to live with that kind of just being aware of that constantly, being so vulnerable throughout your life. It just seems like a very heavy thing to bear.
Okay, well, yeah, so I think what stood out for me is the harassment stories, and really I feel for the writers, because as in it's a constant thing that happens in our society, and I just wonder, as in like the men that as in do these things, if they have any form of control or self-control, because I think even though they say it's a man's world, but I think the man owes it to the woman to respect her for at least who she is, and then, as they say, respect is reciprocal. Then you get your respect as a guy, and the world goes around. So it's that struck me, because I'm like, you don't, because you're a woman, you don't have to go through all that harassment.
Yeah, I think, like you said, the painful part is that ladies have to live with this mental burden for a lifetime. But the other thing that came to my mind, beyond everything I've read, I don't think any of the thing I read kind of sounded strange, right? Because it's something that has been in the public discourse for some time. So people have been talking about, groping, catcalling, the effects of being a woman at the workplace, getting pregnant, raising a family. Like it's been there. We've been talking about this for a while, and I'm thinking, is there really a solution to this? Other than just, allowing the ladies to go through this experience over and over and over and over again, right? That also being said, I think the other thing that came to my mind was that because when we say society, right, I think the other thing we're saying in our head is men, right? Because everything here is also pointing to the other gender, and I would also say, like, it's generational. So this thing has come from, when I say it's built, we've practiced this so much that it's become second nature. And second nature, not because that's how it's supposed to be, but that's how the world has kind of always been. And it's not going to change because we talk about it. It's not going to change overnight. It's not going to change I don't think it's going to change in 5 years or 10 years or something. But if it has to change in the future, then we have to start re-educating the people who are coming after us, right? We have to start redesigning how society sees the role of a man and how society sees the role of a woman. Whether we want to maybe admit it or not, the pressure and the responsibility also that society places on the guy, right, also leads to a lot of this kind of behavior. If I'm a guy in the workplace, for instance, and I know society is expecting me by default, whether I want to do it or not, to take care of both my family, provide for both my family and my extended family, and in some instances my community, I'll be more ambitious, I'll be more driven, because I know if I don't make money, society will see me as a failure. I will lose my voice in society. So I go the length, right? So if we have to solve this problem, there has to be some kind of rebalancing. There has to be a balance. As we're solving the problem of lifting up the women, we should at the same time solve the problem of taking away so much responsibility from the guys, right? So if we create a balance, we'd have a more balanced society where everybody's allowed to thrive and be who they really want to be. On the other hand, if we want to discuss balance, right, I think in the same vein, guys face some ridiculous things in society. Ridiculous. We just don't talk about them.
Yeah.
Right? If we want to solve both problems, we can speak about solving both problems. But if we want to talk about just this one, yes, these are legitimate issues and should be addressed. That's the way I usually look at this thing. I'll give you a quick example. I was reading a report that if a guy and a lady commits the same crime, in fact, sometimes, even if the lady's crime is even more stringent, the probability that she would get a fairer judgment than the guy is almost 100%. That is the worst form of racism. I don't know what sexism or whatever it is.
Don't you also think that maybe because of men always look at women as vulnerable? So for instance now,
I want to be vulnerable in court. I want you to look at me in court and look at my tears and tell me, he won't do it again. You know what? Take 2 weeks, right?
If you were driving, you saw in the rain and you see a guy and you see a girl, you may cross a guy and then you see one girl in front, you say, let me give her a lift.
Yeah, people.
Not everybody. Not
True.
everybody.
You feel safer with the lady in the
None
car.
of
That's
them.
another one.
Obviously, none of them.
you know some ladies
No, as in
feel-
practically, it might not be right, but you see the lady in the rain, you see a guy,
Yeah.
your instincts will say, let me pick this lady. She's more vulnerable. Or as in, even if she's in the car, she's much safer to me
The other guy might just bring her
than
a gun and just
exactly
secure.
than the guy.
But will she feel safer?
That is
Yeah.
that is like, because I remember a long time ago when I was driving to work at about 4:30 in the morning, and at the gate I saw this lady. She said she was going to VI. I said, I'm going to VI, but I'm taking the back road. I was still in Ibadan Desanya. Now I didn't know I think she came from Port Harcourt. She doesn't know Lagos. She got into the car and I started driving, and I passed the back road. Then when traffic used to be very terrible on that road, so I passed the back road Ogombo to bust out somewhere around Ikate, and it was an SUV. Now she doesn't know the route, right? So we're driving and just going down and going in and going in, and got to a path that was very dark. And I remember they were playing this thing on the radio, Inspiration FM, Power in the Word of God or something. This Bishop Okonkwo's, and he was, he would normally say prayers and you would repeat, and she was repeating those prayers loud, and I could sense the fear. And in my mind I was just laughing because I'm like, I'm as helpless as in guy, you're even more of a threat to me inside my car than I am to you. But she as in, I could tell she was scared. Then we got to a part where there was a little light and she felt a little more comfortable until we got to the main road. Then she now felt better. And it was at that point I started talking to her. I'm like, oh, I could tell you were scared, but I thought she now telling me her story. She just came to Lagos, she had an interview and blah, blah, blah. But, so, like you said, it's, as in, will she feel safe? Maybe not. But it might be in her head. The guy too is scared that, I don't even know who I carried. If you turn to my water inside the car, what will I do?
Exactly. So, but I think before she entered, she must have profiled the guy in her head, maybe for just a quick second, like just look.
He doesn't have
at
any
him.
scar on his
Yeah,
face.
or
He doesn't
He's
look
a
rugged, or
yeah.
he's wearing
So-
corporate shirts, so he's
Yeah,
walking.
exactly.
Yeah.
So she will just weigh her options. Should I still stand under this rain, or should I just go with this guy? You know.
I think when she weighs, she'll say, okay, maybe this one looks gentle. But the fear is because he's still a man,
Yeah.
right? And if you talk to a lot of women, it's sometimes people they didn't expect, who ended up doing these things to them. So I remember before, maybe I meet the girl we've been talking, I invite you to my house, right? You know that thing they do, they want to come with a friend or something. And I know what that thing means, I know it's about fear. You're saying you don't really trust me. And I used to be very offended by that because I'll be like, what are you saying that I can't do this thing? But then I quickly understood that it's based on the experiences that she's had,
Yeah.
So I used to feel like personally attacked by that. Oh, are you saying, something might happen, blah, 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 blah. But I think you also have to have like some empathy and just know that things have happened to people, so that's how they react, and then, yeah.
Again, right? It's. I like to say that, which is why sometimes when I'm on social media and I see ladies cast a blankets on guys, right? And put everyone in the same basket. I just like you, I do get offended. I still get offended. I get offended not because I feel they are not justified in their position, but if this problem is going to be solved, right? It's not going to be solved by one gender alone, right? I think everybody needs to come to the point where they believe that in the world, and this is my personal philosophy, I don't think white people are all racist. I don't think black people are all gangsters. I don't think all men are born with this generational patriarchy injected in everybody that you feel like your wife was serving me food, kneeling down and shit. I don't believe all those things. I believe that there's good and there's bad. I don't believe there's Yoruba people are like this, Hausa people are like this. I've met everybody, right? There are good people, there are bad people. If we start defining things that way, there can be a would I say, coalition or a coalition of good going against bad, and you can re-educate the world, seeing things from my own perspective as well as a guy, because I understand guys better. I can think of how we could raise the next generation of guys not to be raised the way we were raised or taught the same lessons that we were taught and all of that. I could think of that. A lady would only see things from their perspective, you know. And if we don't get to the point where we define things as good and bad, come together as good and go against the bad, you know, we're going to be in this journey for the longest time, right? This whole men are scum, men are trash, you know, you would end up alienating the good guys, right?
I think I agree with you.
And
because do you know women sexually harass women these days?
yeah,
So yes, women sexually harass women, the groping and all of that. So it still happens between women, and it will come a time when we'll stop the blame game and start to try to address the real issues. Like, so I've heard stories where in the corporate space, another woman was trying to undo another woman because of a position, you know, and trying to tell her that she wasn't ever going to get there. And if there was one of these stories, I read one of these girls, in one of the stories we read, that she doesn't want to give birth, she doesn't want to be pregnant. So the question is, will her fellow women support her not wanting to have children? Because now that decision is not, you won't say it's society and men that are stopping you or are against you not going to have children. You find out that your own fellow women too, some of them are not going to support that decision. Of your own fellow women too, when you're not submissive to your husband, to your own women too may not support that too, maybe probably because of their religious or cultural background. But I feel like at the end of the day, the solution to all these things is women need to participate more. So in a room like this, how many women do we have that are working, or how many are participating in whatever project that we are doing? So when you find out that there are 5 men and there's only 1 woman, that one has all the attention of 5 men. Yeah. Men being always wanting to hunt. 5 of them want to have her attention the most. Those who sexually harass, those ones are, even if they were women or they were any other, they're just bad people with character issues. It doesn't have to be the fact that they are men, but they have a character issue. So a woman in a workplace or in any environment, and there are 5 men there, she will definitely going to get the attention of them. You just have to find out all of them are toasting her, all of them are flirting with her, all of them are. Some women find it offensive, some women enjoy it. You know, so probably you've met one woman who enjoyed you men flirting with her, and you go and meet another woman, and another woman finds it offensive. So there are different levels to this thing. But the thing is that if women participate more, if you find out that there are opportunities, there are published opportunities, and at the end of the day, people who apply or participate, you just find out only 1 or 2 women in a number of.
But might that not be, like a symptom of the problem that we're talking about? When somebody says she's in engineering, which is male dominated,
Yes.
right? If she's an engineer and she's sharing these experiences, right, that doesn't encourage other women to come into that space.
Yeah, but the thing is that, just like I said, if there's 5 on a project, there are 5 men and there's 1 woman.
Yeah.
If they end up having 3 or 4 or 5 women and 5 men or 3 men, you find out that the men will start respecting the women. You find out that when a woman has been able to empower herself economically, even her husband in the house. Let me just be realistic. Myself, when my wife started, she does small business, and she started bringing money, trying to contribute to the house. I didn't even know when I just started loving her more, respecting her more,
Yeah, I think for which brings me back to the point I was trying to make. I don't think a person, right, should be defined by how much they bring to the table, right? I don't think a person should be, if irrespective of whether there are 5 men and 1 woman, right, in an organization. Just speaking to your point, it doesn't. The guys, irrespective of how you were brought up, shouldn't see it as an opportunity to go and hunt, right? It shouldn't happen.
No, but even if you switch
And
it,
and
it
in,
should still be the same. Even if there are less
yeah,
guys.
same
that
thing.
are more women.
But what? Yeah, same thing, right? It shouldn't happen. What I'm saying is, in those 5 men, right, there should be, ideally, it should be all of them knowing that this is a workplace. This shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. But in that 5, there are probably 2 or 3 of them who decide to go hunting. There are 2 who decide to respect themselves, right? Don't put the 5 of them in the same box.
No, I agree totally. And so when you're talking, I was just thinking, right? So I've had different bosses in my working career, and my worst bosses have been my female bosses. But now, now going by the world standard, I'll say, female bosses are the worst in the world because as in I've had experiences with them. But no, I think if you take people from an individualist perspective, as in this is you as a person, this is how this person behaves versus this is how that person behaves, then you won't then we would stop this blanket statement mentality where you say men are this. Now I'm not so fine. I'm not saying that all men are perfect, or I would usually say this: you can't define something by what 2% of this same group do. So you can't define what men do by just what 2% of the men do. The same way you can't define women by just what 2% do. So I think part of the healing process is first grouping people. Okay, they are the bad ones and they're the good ones.
Yeah.
Then now how do we solve this problem? By trying to re-educate the bad ones, and the onus is on the good ones to start to preach this message to these bad ones. Or when you see something, call it out, because you would see. Now, I'm not saying don't mind your business, but when a lot of times, I'm sure in some situations, you will see that this lady is going into danger. I think the onus is on you as a guy to say, madam, this place you're going, you would end up being in trouble. Now, you might not, as in, don't go and harass her, for just make a statement. Let her make a choice whether to go away or for instance, you're walking by 1 or 2 a.m. for instance, and you see some funny guys behind. You could, and she's taking a walk at that time. You could signal her and say, "I see there's some funny guys behind." You might actually make a detour and go somewhere else so that you don't get hurt. And I think with that constant education and reminder, we can start to make a change one after the other, in my opinion.
So just 2 minutes. I'll just jump on it. So I think ultimately, right, whatever re-education, I think this one of the things the ladies have put right, I think it's a very correct concern, is don't educate the victim, right? Educate the perpetrator.
Yeah.
So, but whatever is happening now, like and that's where I'm trying to cover. Whatever is happening now, this starts today, right? It's there's a long
Trend.
man, probably as old as man, right? That has gone on for a very long time. We've let it as society to continue for a long time. That has affected both genders, right? This re-education, I don't think we're going to solve this, and it's unfortunate, but I don't think we're going to solve this problem from the middle or at the top, right? We need to go back to raising kids in the way we want them to turn out. Yeah, if we want to, a lot of people have informed. If you speak to folks in HRO and all of those things, they'll tell you that by the time someone is probably 28, 30, right, there's no management training you want to do for that person. They would typically want to hire people at 22, 18, so that they can form them in a particular. Same thing. I think this formation we need to go back to the basics and raise everybody in a way that they start thinking in a very balanced way. Don't attribute anything. Don't say because he's a guy, he should have muscle, or he should fight for me.
Yeah.
No.
We should protect me.
Everybody should fight for themselves.
No, but our core.
No. Eventually, everybody should dream of making money. Everybody should dream of working wherever they want to work. Everybody should dream of providing for the family. Everybody should dream of taking care of the kids.
But there are certain sensitive issues when it comes to, raising a family, a man and a woman, husband and a wife. You can't say everybody should be on a playing field. When it comes to protection, for example, you can't expect you and your wife in the house for your wife to protect you.
That's where we have to get to, because I don't have bulletproof. I'm not wearing a natural bulletproof, my guy. If a thief wants to do that, as of today, I'm going to do it, right? Because that's how I've been brought up, right? But I don't want that to be the experience of my son or my daughter, right? My daughter should be able to protect her family if something happens. If the family is in danger, my son should be able to do the same thing.
So,
I shouldn't leave the responsibility for one gender.
No, but
you're not leaving it. But when you're training up a child, there are certain things consciously tell the child that he grows up with. For example, you're training up a male child, telling you're supposed to protect your family, you're supposed to provide for your family.
I'll tell that to the girl too.
Yes, but you won't put it the same way. You're telling the guy, the male child.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. This re-education, this balance needs to happen.
Submissive to his wife.
They should be submissive to each other. That's basically what I'm saying.
You see, that's the thing.
No, but you know why is argument?
They should be submissive to each other.
They said improved or middle class households are households where both spouses contribute to income. So you find out that in a house where the husband and the wife are equal breadwinners or equally educated and all that, you find out that their children will be more educated, that you're more
Enlightened.
enlightened, and all of that. So Chuka, let's face it, we've made some progress, because in those days when a man has a daughter child, it's like he will continue doing the work till they have a male child. Yeah. But these days now, young couples are starting to accept that, we have a daughter, and they'll give her the best education like they were going to give, even if it was their guy. So I feel like we're making some of those progress, but the women need to step up, and I feel like some of the women too themselves would not want to deny themselves some of that privilege of feeling protected, but
you can't have it all, man.
No, but
Okay.
but I think, okay, so some women see protection
As a love language.
Exactly. So for them, if you can't protect me, then you don't love me. But also, as in when it comes to submission, and there was this lady pastor I was listening to, I can't remember her name right now, and she said something that struck me. She said, being submissive is not when you don't have and your husband says sit down.
No.
That's not being submissive.
Exactly.
Being submissive is, see, I have money to go to Hawaii today, but my husband says wait for 2 months because we have ABCD, and you choose to listen to him and wait. That is being submissive.
I agree, but can it also happen the other way? So say I want to go to, I have my money, I want to go to Hawaii, and the lady says, can you wait for 2 months? After, let's achieve this and this and this.
It's already
then we go.
It already happens.
Yes,
It already happens.
That's the ultimate
I'm
balance.
sure you're
we
married.
should seek.
As in, the truth is, if you don't listen to your wife,
You're dead.
That's why most people don't like going home after work. They will say they are waiting for traffic. Meanwhile, they are not waiting for traffic. They are scared to go home.
No, but so naturally, the guys, like my father would say, as in, see, we as guys, we are rubber stamp. She makes decision.
Yeah,
You just stamp it because she has made decision, not because it's your not because your decision to make, but she just coming to you to sample your opinion.
Yeah.
She has made up her mind on what she wants to do.
Yeah.
She's just coming to you. Can you feel like a man and say yes?
But that's what we want, basically. As a male figure, that's what you want. You've made up your mind to do this. Just come and say, see, like this. Just pamper the guy, the man. Just tell him, for him to say, okay, go and do it. But you going on your own to do it, even if it's what the man likes, that's the problem.
See, I agree. I think both parties like to be pampered. That's it. Yeah. See where I'm going. I'm not saying the guy shouldn't or the lady shouldn't talk to the guy or seek some content. I'm also saying it should work the other way,
no
right?
Doubt.
If you as a guy decide you want to do something, it's also you should also go and pamper your wife and make sure she is on the same page with you.
Exactly.
Before you.
Well, no, but it also depends on what you want to do.
If
it's something that will favor her, if it's something that will favor her, she is a yes.
What if you want to surprise her? I want to bring Pararampa for her. Will you guys tell her that?
No. So
I want to bring.
But guys, I think women are saying we have a problem, right? Somehow we've ended up saying, well, you feel you have a problem, but things are not fair. Let's balance. It's almost like we're saying, here's the price you have to pay for solving this problem, right? And in all these conversations, when women say, oh, we have these issues, it always ends up in, okay, but are you people ready to pay equally? Are you people, so that means we'll stop paying when we do this. It always ends up like we always go to that place, right? So I think they're saying this thing is not fair. This is something we're dealing with that is not fair, and you said something about making sure we're not blaming the victim and all that. And it's a very natural thing that we do as men. We've not spent much time even talking about, we talk about re-education, right? You talk about the next generation. But there are people who are living with this thing now, you know, and they're writing these stories because they don't want it to continue, right? So it's fine to get the next generation, but who are the people doing these things? Those people are us. It's us, it's our friends, it's our brothers. How do we solve that problem? What do we tell them? You know, is there any penalty for doing this thing? Are women saying not all men because they know, of course, it's not all men, but it's the only way to force even
all men
to engage, to at least think about it and say, well, not me, I'm not one of them, and this thing, and then that's the only reason we're here.
You know, let me put it this way. I use Nigeria as an example. Nigeria has been bad, right? Nigeria has been bad since we were born. Like, it's been bad. It's been created to be bad, right? We've been educated. We all know. I don't know. Nobody can think of the good old days. There's no good old days in Nigeria, right? If I say, for instance, all politicians are bad, right?
You're not saying the wrong thing.
I'm probably. So typically we say, these politicians, these people, but we call names, right?
Okay, yeah.
When Jonathan was in government, we could say, if only Okonjo-Iweala was working under so and so person, if only Adesai was the guy in AFDB. You know, we singled out the good guys. We call them technocrats, right? We give them the benefit of doubt that if these people actually had a better leadership, they'll do better. They'll deliver even more for the country. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking for. Is there are good people that are actually in this fight with you. First of all, don't put me in the same stuff with it. That's one. And it's if I'm trying to we might want to run away from it. You know, they've made it look like, I get on Twitter, you want to tweet something, you know, you tweet in support, they attack you. You tweet against, you're attacked.
So you
keep quiet, right? Okonjo-Iweala was when she was in government, a lot of not everybody, majority of people recognize that, you know, this person is different. But a few people went on the attack. They attacked her like, this one is, you're stealing money. You are in charge of 20 billion. 20 billion is missing. You're a thief as well, right? Even people that were trying to steal were calling her a thief. It didn't make her, if you call her now to come back and serve the country, you think she will just go, I've got another opportunity to come and serve? It's not going to happen. She's going to chill where she is and just try to stay away from the problem you guys are having here. So it's the same thing. I'm not saying the problem is not there. I'm not saying we shouldn't try solving it now. But a lot of the time, just like we do in Nigeria, we go for short-term benefits. You want to solve a problem from the middle. When
there's a root cause.
When there's a rotten foundation. You know, if you try to build on a foundation that is not strong, you will just end up, as rosy as it might sound, as nice as it might sound. If I tell you Nigeria is going to be a world power, I want Nigeria is going to be a giant of Africa, which Nigeria is going to be the giant of Africa in 2 years, right? It might sound nice and dandy, everybody's going to clap, but in our very mind, we know that it's not going to happen, right? If we don't go back, people will tell you, people who are not Nigerians will tell you that every Nigerian is corrupt, right? If we don't go back and fix the way children who end up becoming the leaders of tomorrow, think about loyalty to the country and making the country better. Anything we do now, we're whitewashing it. It's like building Almajiri schools, right? When you've not solved the problem that's producing Almajiri.
Well, what do we do? So are you saying there's nothing we can do for Onyinye and
as of today?
people that we've talked about here now today?
as of
These
today,
people that are
Yeah,
dealing with
but you know what Chuka is saying is that, okay, so first there's a character, and that character flaw is men and women alike have that character flaw. So it's not an issue of is the men's world or is it women's world.
for this thing, the
Yeah.
complaints that
Yeah,
the
so-
thing
yeah,
that
so-
It reminds me of 3 cases I saw on Twitter. Let me tell you. One was a doctor who a girl flew to London to stay with him, and she claimed that he slept with her, he sexually harassed her. They went to court and they found out that it wasn't true. Another case was a YouTube blogger who came to Nigeria, went to a party somewhere, and an underage girl said that he slept with her. And a few days later, the story came out that it was. This is after they vilified the men. Then there was a third story about a young Nigerian boy who lives in America, and a girl came out and said that he sexually harassed her, and the boy committed suicide. So now, these 3 cases, those 3 women have a character flaw. And we cannot continue to just. So when another woman who has a genuine case comes out now, those 3 they've also ruined things. Just like the men who have actually gone to grope a woman have actually ruined things for the good guys. Or just like the men who have gone to flirt with a woman who enjoyed it and thought that they could apply it on another woman who then took it as offensive too, because of the break in communication. So we need to start to fix those character, build communication, because as we say right now, really, apart from trying to create as much awareness as we can create, not much can be done.
I think we're still avoiding.
see, at the moment,
let's think about a guy, the sort of man who does this sort of thing, because I think we're looking for the exceptions and things like that. Like, what's the problem? Why can't we think about this character and engage with him and think about what we can do today? Is there something to be said to him? Is there something to do to him? Why we?
Because
it's
just like a character. It's a character flaw, just like a woman too has a character.
But I don't think it's a flaw.
so
I think this thing they're complaining about, right? It's pervasive enough for it to be, and we've talked about culture. Yes, it's a pandemic, and it's not new, right? It's been going on, so it's not a character thing.
You know why I say it's a character and values thing? Because uneducated men do it. Educated men do it. Poor men do it.
Yeah.
Rich men do it.
Okay.
Uneducated men don't do it. Educated men do it. Educated men don't do it too. Rich men don't do it, and poor men too don't do it. What I'm trying to say is that there are a set of men who, no matter where you fall in society, Christian, Muslim, rich, poor, they do these things. Even pastors in church, they sexually harass women. And there are another sets, Muslim, Christian, rich, poor, educated, non-educated, they don't do these things.
Yeah.
So what is that?
it's not going to be solved by the ladies alone. It's not going to happen.
And I think that's what they're saying.
But you're not going to get the good guys to join the cause if you're vilifying them as well.
Well, I don't think so. It's like somebody said it here that all politicians are thieves. We've all said it.
Well, that's it.
In this country, we've all said it.
You
right?
say it, but then you also identify the ones
No,
that
we don't.
don't.
In our mind, we know, right? And if I say all politicians are thieves, obviously, I don't think all of them are thieves. Like, you understand what I'm saying, that so many of them are thieves that, just being a politician, everybody's going to assume they're a thief, right? So if somebody is like a good politician, right, you're noble, you got into the thing, you're not taking any bribe. If somebody says all politicians are thieves, right, I get it that you might feel some type of way. But if that alone is enough for you to say, oh, well, they think I'm a thief, so I'm going to start stealing, then maybe you are
not start stealing. Not start stealing.
Mm.
If you try to help someone, right, and they accuse you of a crime that you're trying to help them, let's say you want to use, they are robbing your neighbor.
Yeah.
You pick your gun, or whatever it is, you try to help, right? And they turn around and point at you and call you the thief, right? And you in these days of social media, I've seen it happen a lot of times where something like this happening, you know, you're trying to make sense. You're not virtue signaling. You're not trying to show that I'm the good guy here. Yeah, you're actually trying to address the problem. Dude, you can't do this, right? And then someone comes and says, these ones are the worst ones. These ones that right?
Claims they are innocent.
Yeah, people are different, right? Yeah. I'm not I don't have friends who are like my wife would typically say I'm living in a bubble.
That's why people are afraid of getting into your car.
You say I'm living in a bubble. Like I think everybody's like my group of friends, you know, all nice and dandy, you know, not you guys don't involve in this kind of thing. But if I come out of mine, and I'm not a Twitter warrior, but if I come out to address something and someone shouts down at me, whether I'm speaking for my own self or I'm speaking for, I would typically just, you know what?
Hands off.
Yeah, I'll hands off until. I think a lot of people are like that. Yeah. Well, not that I would turn to start doing what I don't have a friend who I'll go and talk to privately and say, hey, you need to stop doing this kind of stuff. I'm not going to either go on the road and start preaching to guys and say stop. No, there's a limit to what I can do,
so
right?
I think in that story where the lady or the girl said she's scared to get pregnant and all that. So how do you solve that kind of problem? Is it that she getting scared of being pregnant?
No, I think exactly that's the point I was going to get to. She's scared because she feels as in if she gets pregnant, there's no support system. Yeah, there's no support system to help her in one advancing her career at the same time taking care of family. Now, as in. Some people have a way of juggling these things. Some people cannot manage these things. So maybe she has seen herself that I can't manage my career and having kids. So I'd rather choose my career than having kids. For her, it's a personal decision. So you can't help her in that decision.
Which is why I keep going back to re-education, right? We don't, as a society, we don't understand choice, both from the guy's perspective and from the lady's perspective.
The guy getting married
you cannot decide. A guy cannot decide today to just be there, to just be poor, right? A lady can decide, I want to be a housewife. You can't decide to be a house husband, as society is today. But that's what some people want to do. Some guys actually really just want to sit at home, sit down and take care of the kids.
Play PS and be happy. And
they just
be happy with the kids.
They really just, but the world doesn't understand choice. And which is why I keep going back to re-education. If we don't go back to the point where we re-educate en masse, right, where everybody understands that really, first of all, see someone as an individual that can make a good choice for himself. Don't put societal expectation on someone, whether lady or guy. If a lady decides, I don't want to get married, I want to be single and fine, sip tea in the morning, it should be her choice.
No, but it's difficult to make choices in our own.
Yeah, even as a guy. See, have you met a guy that's 40, that's 40 and unmarried? Once you start nearing 28 as a guy, I don't know about all of you. Your parents start calling you. How far?
That girl that says she doesn't want to give birth, her mother-in-law will be on her case.
So the thing is, it's a choice. Fundamentally, as a society, right? There are expectations that have been created for both genders.
Not only society. I mean, right from our families.
Which is society? That's the foundation of a society.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, but from the point of, I'm just coming from that context of a girl not wanting to give birth, or a guy says he just wants to, when he has younger ones and siblings and all of that the father I'd use the civil servant money to train.
Yeah, and you say you want
and you know,
Drink tea.
Yeah, like they will cost you. Like, have you gone to a village meeting before? Everybody thinks, hey, okay, guys just come together and make decisions that affect everybody. No, it's not. It's not guys. You go to a village meeting of 20 men, only 2 people are really making the decision. 2 people that have money.
Yeah.
Every other person is just there. You want to say, they say, "Ah, shish, my friend, sit down."
Do you have a voice?
Yeah, what do you like? If we're talking, you're talking. It's not a good place to be. Nobody should go through, nobody, whether guy or lady. And I'm just saying, to solve this thing, we really need to go back to the foundation and train people differently. Where we are now, society is what it is.
So it's hopeless. There's nothing.
No, but, so,
I think it might not sound nice,
I think
but it's near.
It's a 2-step approach.
Every other thing we
long
might
term and
do,
short term.
yeah, every other thing we might do at the moment is going to be
He's talking.
it's
He's talking long
window
term.
dressing.
Maybe short term, for instance, we can, as in you're in the market.
See,
You're in the market. You
as at
see you see a trader trying to grow. You as a guy can harass the guy, and by the time 10 guys harass this same guy, he would rethink the next time he wants to grow.
Let me give
So
you an
that
instance.
is
Let me
short
give you
term.
an instance. What if you going to harass that guy, other guys gang up against you? In that situation, what would you do?
Then
No.
I think that now proves the point.
It proves the
like first
point,
of all,
yeah.
to have a market, right, where you have a lot of men, right, and
Because it happens in the market a
women,
lot.
exactly, and it's different markets all over the country, right? So that now is not a character flaw thing. It's a system,
Yeah.
right? It's acceptable. There's no penalty for it. In fact,
Wait, are you talking about when a woman is concerned, the trader calls her and says, "Come and buy from me"?
No,
yes,
actually,
but
they you
some-
hold her,
there's
hold
some
her.
kind of way.
It's-
yes.
Trader can even,
The cat calls it,
Yeah.
the harassment.
Yeah.
It's
Do you
something.
know how many times I've been through the market that
Sure.
women
No,
have
but
dragged
that-
me to
that-
come and buy things in
Sure,
their shop?
and probably men drag you too, but it's probably never sexual, right? They probably don't say things to you about how you
Yeah.
look or this thing. Do
And you can wear a short.
When-
You
when
can
you're
you
going
can
to
you
the
can wear a
market,
short to the market.
when
You
you're
can't
going
you
to
can't
the
wear a
market, you don't have
miniskirt
to
in the
think, "Oh,
market.
what am I wearing?"
Yeah.
You don't have to prepare your mind that you know what, I'm just going to be calm. No matter what they do, I'll just walk to that place and this thing. You don't have to do any of that, right? But the thing is, there are hundreds of men in that market who are doing that thing every day.
And they want the woman to buy from their shop.
Even if they put, it's just
so
it's verbal,
just-
it's
just-
everything.
just
You know,
harass.
You need to, have you seen those
Yeah,
videos where-
they've torn people's dresses for just
Yeah,
walking
or
through,
they-
for wearing short
yeah,
stuff.
they harass you, or there was one woman who was like keke and they were touching her and this thing, and
on the bike.
it's
Which
so
market?
Yeah, we
It's not the market, it's just general.
it's every
Every
market
market.
in Nigeria basically.
You know.
Aja market.
These are things we don't have to think about.
So when did you go to the market that this thing happened?
No,
This thing, I'm just trying to. When did you go to the
No.
market?
I
This
say
happens.
it happened.
When you go
Yeah.
talk to people, talk to women, it happens.
Even
Because my
No,
wife,
no,
if
no,
anybody,
no.
my wife will slap the person.
That's the thing. So she's going to have to be slapping so many people.
No, she will slap.
Yeah, that's do you
Yeah.
understand?
Well,
That
I know
is
his wife.
start calling
She
you
was-
that
she
your
was-
wife is
my wife will
fighting
slap.
in the
So I
market.
don't.
So
Yeah,
I don't
but you
know.
can that you know that's it's coming back to what I'm saying. You can't change a market. You can't change a market. I can't change a
Why
market.
not? If customers start saying, 10 people this week, they've stolen our phones, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a system for solving that problem. And the problem is going to be solved.
No, but we're not talking about the same kind of problem.
So-
The problem
Yeah.
we're talking about now of people stealing and all of
Yeah.
this, right? There are
How is that problem solved?
there are different types of problems, right? There are systematic problems, like you've said, right, that are not born out of carelessness or lack of measures to take care of a few things, right? If I put security cameras, if I put police with guns, I solve it, right? Those are different problems. When a problem is in the mind, you don't solve it with tactics. It's not something that you put a law. If you say, for instance, right, if you grope a lady 14 years in prison, it's not going to stop it. It's still going to happen.
But I think it still sends a signal, right? So in a country where there are laws.
Do you know how many signals?
Fine.
So
but that's
are
the
you
thing.
saying-
Why
are you
sent
saying
as a
there- Are you
society?
saying there's no law now?
Hang on.
There are
That-
several laws.
Exactly.
It's not even allowed.
Exactly.
Like if you
Sexual
grow
harassment
sexual
laws.
harassment laws,
Yeah.
Hang on. This
laws are laws are laws are
no,
laws.
no.
It's
This
not going to
country,
solve
for
it.
example, this country is corrupt. We say, oh, politicians are bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every 4 years, we still participate in some form in a process. Like nobody can change this country, but we still dare to hope
In
a
our
little bit.
in our generation, so there was an election in Abia State. Guess what the voter turnout was?
It was very low. Sure,
3%.
It's getting worse. So, for example, the markets. What I'm saying is,
It's become a system.
what I'm saying is, we don't even try. You know, we
No,
sit
no,
down.
no, we
Because that's
don't
what we're
do.
doing now. We're
No, but we
saying,
do.
no, we're saying that thing is in the mind. You can't change it. But a lot of things change
No,
in the
no.
market. If the
See.
market is dirty and you want it to be clean, you know the people to go and talk to. Those people know the meeting that they will have. They know when they will send the signals. They know how they will enforce
You know-
that thing in the market. You know, but when it's a problem like this, we just say, you know what, we can't do anything now.
No, that's not it. So I'm not saying don't do anything at all. Don't do anything now, right? What I'm saying is we're not doing. We're trying for quick wins, right? You
So why
You know,
can't
someone-
Why can't we try for quick wins at the same time? Go to the root to solve the
Yeah,
problem?
exactly.
What
The
I'm
roots
sa-
now,
but-
because-
but the thing is,
because Onyinye needs a solution today.
what I'm saying is that we're doing the quick wins. We are actually doing the quick wins, but we're neglecting the foundation.
But I don't think we're doing the quick wins.
No, we are. You know,
Because
like you said,
even
like you
in
said,
this- even in
there
this
are
conversation-
sexual harassment laws, there are rape laws,
There's the
right?
paternity- the
There's maternity leave. They are making provisions at board levels for women. But if you have to choose, if you want to choose qualified, just like I'll use the black stuff now. If you go to the US, they've said, hey, try and create some kind of diversity at board level, right? You see one black guy being in 5 boards because you don't have a lot of them, right? There's no critical mass. And at the same time, nobody is trying to do something about the educational system in black communities. You're not solving the problem. You're just you're window dressing it. You come, you make all this, you tweet Black Lives Matter, you carry Black Lives Matter from now till 20 years. If you don't go and solve the problem at that foundational level, 20 years from now, you'll be solving the same problem. You'll still be doing Black Lives Matter, right? But if you solve, we underrate what can be achieved in the long term and put a lot of emphasis on the short term, so that in the long term, you're still solving short-term problems. It's not going to change. This thing took generations
But
to
I-
be embedded in our DNAs,
But I think that's
right?
also, I think
That
it's
you're
also-
superior.
I think it's also a very Nigerian thing to. It's easier to say, "Oh, this is a big problem. It's been there. You know, it's not going to happen today." We say those things, and then we don't do anything. So we don't even start that long term.
No, but
No, which is what I'm saying.
So what are we doing? Because
No.
I feel like in this conversation, we find it very hard to just engage. Maybe we need to create
No,
a character and say John, right, is somebody who harasses women. Maybe we need to think about it. What can we?
If I know anybody that harasses a woman, I'll report to you. If I'm in my company,
that's the way they do
I'll tell HR.
And if
You understand?
I understand,
If you rape
That's what
someone,
they're doing.
if you rape someone, I will call. I'll call the police. I'm not going to encourage it.
Imagine somebody in your estate, you find out that this particular person harasses women. It's not going to be funny.
See
even men
NSAS
don't-
protest.
It's not going to be-
See
so you're doing
NSAS
something.
protest. They groped a lady. They beat the guy almost to coma.
You understand?
But has
You're
it solved the
actually doing
problem?
something.
It's not solved the problem. It's if we don't. Me, I'm big on education, and I've been telling people there are a lot of NGOs and all of this that are geared towards fixing the problem today. You know, let's institute a law that would, put guys 14 years in prison, or if you rape someone 14 years in prison,
There's also
right?
a group of
Or-
female lawyers.
Or there are a lot
Yeah.
of short
do free
short-term
cases for this harassment.
like solutions, right? Has anybody talked about rewriting our curriculum, right, to re-educate what the role of a guy and what the role of a lady is in society? I bet you, if you get a primary school book today, and you see social studies or some of them, and you read the role of a lady in society, you probably still see cooking.
Yes.
Yeah, but the thing is that now.
But also, so go to that level. That's the level we should go. 20 years from now, you thank yourself.
At that level, and I say things are changing.
And that's the formative.
We don't accept
Those are formative
female
ages.
children, but now we've started to accept them. And the orientation about telling your daughter to defend her family and take care of her family too, because all this 35% affirmation thing is just like Nigeria. Nigeria say, okay, the North have 200 jam score 200% because you come from a lesser.
It's not made them.
They've not
changed anything.
Check the ratio. It's been like that for years.
Yeah, that orientation needs to come from the beginning. But women on their own right now need to empower themselves more, participate more in those roles that men play in politics, in the workplace. Men on their own, of course. I can speak for myself and my group of friends that there's no how we see another man trying to harass a lady that will not.
Well, a lot of this harassment happens quietly. So if we're waiting to
So what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to install cameras in my
Now, if you have to wait
Let me ask
until
you a
it comes
question.
to
Let
your
me ask you a
notice.
question.
but I don't think we have that attitude about other problems.
Like what?
We're going to-
Tell me what problem?
anything.
Nigeria's
Think of
problem.
any-
You know how I
no,
want
think
to
of
solve.
any
You know
other
how
thing.
much. You know how much
Think
I
of
want
any
to
other
solve
thing,
Nigeria's problem.
Right, that happens
Like
in
what?
secret and in the open.
Like which
That's a
one?
major problem.
Like
And we don't
autism.
say-
Like autism.
we
Have
don't
you
say,
solved
but you know-
autism?
If
but
I
you know
see
some-
him, I go stop
No,
him.
but you
Cultism.
know sometimes.
Cultism happens in the
Sometimes
secret,
you want to
and they
do
come out and
something,
keep people.
but your hands are tied.
What have we done to stop cultism?
For example, now, if your lady friend or your female friend calls you that probably she's been harassed by one guy or one big god man somewhere,
I'll intervene. I'll call the police. I'm not even. This
the
is
problem?
it's straight up. I'll call the police. I can't do anything. I'll call the police.
But the guy is a big guy in the society. He's a rich man. He has
I'll
the-
start a campaign. We'll do, like there are a lot of things you could do, but the thing is,
for how do you think you can go that length to start a campaign and start?
depend on how.
The guy has more to lose.
Okay.
So by the time he starts
He has
campaigning,
a lot to
he will-
lose.
he
Oh.
will-
I mustn't put myself in the front of the fight, but I can do something.
So are you
So
But
why do you
my-
think, why do you think, for example, she will call you and not the police?
Because she
doesn't
you are
trust the
friends,
police.
She does not trust the
The
police.
because
you
the
are
police,
friends, she can
the
confide
police
in
is
you.
brought up in the same society that thinks that this thing is all right. This is see, we could do all the short-term thing. We could say all the nice things. We could say, hey, we should go to the market and fight everybody who does it. Personally, right? And like I've said, it's not. First of all, it's not going to solve it. We cannot solve something that took generation. We can't solve a 5,000 year problem in 2 years. It's going to take a while.
I mean, 1,000 years.
Not 1,000 years. We've advanced as humans, right? It's not going to take that long. But if it has to start, they said the best time to plant a tree
It's now.
was
Yesterday.
the other best time to plant it is
Now.
today, right? But it has to start from the planting. He didn't say you should go and graft or go and relieve the tree or scrub the bark. It's not going to work. You need to plant, and that's the planting we need to start doing. We need to go to primary, nursery, raising, family level,
Yeah, family level.
and change the narrative. If we want to start from here, we would have short-term wins. But 10, 20, 30 years from now, if that is all we're doing, we'll still be there. We'll be addressing the same problem. I'll use our power issues. Again, I like using Nigeria because Nigeria just represents everything bad. see our power issues, right? You want to solve your power issues. You don't want to start by creating a policy or an industry that can thrive on its own. you take 16 billion and build power plants, right? There's no gas policy that makes sure that gas gets to that place. There's no transmission that makes sure the power is distributed. If you want to solve it, if you actually want to solve the power issue and start at foundational level, you know it's going to take you 6, 7, 8, 10 years to get it right. But because Nigerians are clamoring, we don't have light, you want to commission a plant, you go and buy a big generator and put it in someone's village. Everybody sees light, everybody is happy. 2 years later, we're back to the same shit.